Welcome to Slow Play. I'm the host, Mitchell.
And I'm Heather.
Do you like introducing yourself, or should I be introducing you? These are the things I think about when I go back and watch the show afterwards.
No, I think it makes sense for me to introduce me.
Okay, good. So, this is an interesting episode because the last episode that we recorded was actually recorded as of today, 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. But as of today was uploaded today. Mm-hmm. Partially because of what we were talking about in that episode, how just fucking out of it I was.
Right.
I was not able to pull it together enough to actually upload, edit the shit, whatever, put whatever post-production, do the uploading, all the graphics and shit. I just couldn't get there. Plus there was holidays and shit coming up, so, and work was weird, so just things like that.
Understandable.
It was recorded 2 weeks ago, but it didn't go up till today. But the benefit of that is now we have a 2 weeks update on the stuff we were talking about last time. So if you remember in the last episode, there was a lot of talk at the end of me getting into the medical marijuana. Yeah. Which I did apply for the very next day after that. That's how bad it was. For me to take any kind of steps towards anything good for me, it takes a lot. Yeah. So it was so it was so bad at that point that it was like something has to be done. And if you listen to the last episode, the previous episode, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Also, if you listen to that episode, there's a lot of talk of on last week's episode, we say that a lot, even though now that's actually going to be 2 weeks. So if you're listening to all the episodes, you didn't miss anything when you hear me talk about last week's episode. On the last episode, I'm actually referring to the previous episode. But now that 2 weeks have passed, I have applied for the medical marijuana and it has not been accepted yet. I check on the damn website every day, Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority. Mm-hmm. I check every day and it still just says submitted, which eventually it will say accepted or denied. But from what I understand, that never happens. No. But they say it's supposed to take 2 weeks. And as of this recording now, it's been 13 days. So we'll see if something changes tomorrow. But frankly, I'm surprised it's taking this long. But anyway, I check on the damn thing every day. But that should be good. I'm looking forward to that. I've never done anything legally before, so that'll be a first.
It's a change for you.
And I know that it will be more expensive, but I also know that compared to the very basic bullshit that I've ever bought in my life, it will be guaranteed to be better than that. And I've smoked good shit in my life before, but when I'm just buying shit for just myself, I'm usually intentionally buying the crappiest shit that I can get. I wonder if it's okay to be talking about all this. I mean, now that I'm getting it legally, it's what are they going to do now?
You're going legit.
I mean, I guess there's no shame in admitting my previous habits, I guess. And if not even not enough, clearly, or else I wouldn't have been in the funk that I was. It was very rare that I would even buy the shit on my own. But anytime that I did, I would intentionally buy the crappiest shit that I could, just because I feel like I like the repetitive action of smoking all day long.
Yeah. Do you have a ritual, something to do with your hands?
Something to do with my hands. That's one of the most important parts of my well-being is keeping something busy with my hands. That was a big part of the appeal of drinking. Yeah. The repetitive action of drinking, although that was with shots of liquor, so it's you
should take up knitting or something.
I should. That's what people keep telling me, cross stitch, which I mean, I guess, but that's just not in my wheelhouse.
Well, that's what I grew up watching my grandmother sit there and crochet for hours and hours while she watched TV, and or listened to TV really. But I mean, she was knitting clothes for the entire family while she was watching TV, which she would have been doing anyway.
Did you ever try to get into any of that stuff?
A little bit. I have a sewing machine. I used to alter all my clothes and add stuff to them and make them cooler.
Oh, nice. Yeah. See, that's the kind of thing that I just have no I'm just like not good at that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Anything that can be considered like artistic, like in that way, not good with that. But that totally sounds like the way that I play video games. I play video games every waking hour of the day that I'm not at work, which is maybe there's probably points where it starts getting in the way of like other things that need to get done.
Yeah.
But when I'm just like, on the other hand, that's been like one of the biggest helps in getting over my drinking situation. Like, I've been playing 5,000% more video games since I quit drinking.
Really? I've always played them all the time. So
yeah,
that's what, if I am watching a show, like I'll have like a little puzzle game or something repetitive that I can do and not lose track of what's going on in the TV show.
Rather, sometimes I'll watch TV while I do it, but usually I'm listening to podcasts, which is a lot easier.
Same.
But like that's why a lot of gamers just hate me though, because I always turn the sound on the game down all the way and I skip all the cutscenes, so I never have any idea what's happening in the game because I don't care.
That's not good.
Yeah, it is good. I disagree.
If it works for you.
I've had this whole conversation with people before. Somebody told me that I'm ruining video games.
Some games are more immersive.
Bullshit.
And I feel like you're missing out.
No, I'm not. I say to those people, they're ruining video games because they're trying to make the shit into a movie. Whereas when I was growing up, it never mattered what was happening.
Yeah.
Like, those are the games I grew up on, like Super Mario and shit. Didn't ever matter what was happening.
I grew up on those games, but I also played some RPGs, so it's...
I just don't care. The stories are too big. They're so big that I don't care. What am I supposed to do? Pay attention for fucking 40 straight hours?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Not happening. At any rate, all this to say, I'm just like doing it to keep my hands busy all the time. So to that end, I mean, what you're talking about with your grandma doing the knitting and shit, it's like, it is the same type of thing. If I could find something maybe more productive than gaming, maybe that would be helpful, but it's kind of tough because I like listening to the podcast and shit. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, the podcasts and like audiobooks and all of that have gotten to be sort of another addiction for me. Like, I cannot stop. I need constant input and like entertainment. And it's not just entertainment, because with the reading, it's like I am learning and being entertained, but and with podcasts too. But I just can't be alone with my thoughts for 5 minutes.
Not at all. I have a huge problem with that. Yeah. So like, I mean, sometimes it gets like, if I'm really feeling productive, quote unquote, I'll like listen to interviews. Like, I'm really into like rap history. That's like a huge, like, to me, there's value in knowing the history of the things that you're into. So I consider that being productive. Like, that's educational. Take that as you will. Maybe someone listening would just consider that to be just as pointless as anything else. But to me, I consider that productive. So if I'm playing a video game and I'm like listening to like an interview with fucking Rakim or something, then I consider that to be productive. But usually I'm just listening to podcasts about dumb shit or whatever. But either way, I need to keep my hands busy at all times. So why did I even start talking about this? Because I was saying I like the repetitive action of smoking all day. I guess that'll be a habit that I'll have to break once I start actually getting the better shit. Because I know that even at like the bottom shelf stuff that you get at the dispensaries, even that is guaranteed to be better than the shit I was intentionally buying. Yeah. Like, I was purposefully telling the person I was buying it from, like, get me the shittiest stuff that you can, like the great value bargain bin version. Because I just like being able to just like smoke it and not care if I'm wasting it. Right. So, but it's all good though. I mean, I can cross that bridge as long as I use just like a little bit of mental awareness of how much I'm smoking. Then I can work around that. But that should be good. I mean, just like even when I have that shitty shit, I was never like smoking like crazy. Like I would buy like a half ounce and make that last over like 3 weeks, which is pretty good compared to like the way that my friends and I were smoking in high school, which was like killing a half over a weekend, you know? Yeah. So it's like, compared to that, you're just taking a few hits throughout the day. That's all I really need it for anyway. And like, I know it's this whole thing of like, well, people just get the card because they want to get high, but I legitimately feel like I legitimately need it for medicinal reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think for a lot of people, that's an alternative to taking, anxiety medication
pills,
or
something
antidepressants.
That was made in a lab. That's what weirds me out about pills. Thinking about all the chemicals and shit.
Whenever you start tinkering with your brain chemistry, there's always the chance that something could get rewired in a bad way. And that has happened to me. I took a medication many years ago that did something to me that made it impossible for me to sleep for about 5 days. And that was just from taking one pill. Like that night I didn't sleep at all. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not taking this medication anymore. And then I didn't sleep the next night and the next night. By the 5th day, I was just laying on my bed with my eyes open, hallucinating like I was dreaming. It was so bizarre. And
what was that from?
The medication was called Abilify. I had a psychiatrist who just didn't, I don't know what she was doing, but she had like Abilify pens and Abilify pads and Abilify stuff all over her office.
Okay, that seems like
she was gonna prescribe me Abilify.
Yeah. Sounds like you need Abilify. Like I imagine like you walking out the door and someone coming in and being like, I have a headache. And she's like, sounds like Abilify.
Right. So it was a brand new medication, had just started seeing commercials for it on TV like right after this happened. And it was prescribed for people with schizophrenia and bipolar type 1. So it's like almost on the level of being an antipsychotic. And she gave me this for depression.
Sounds like a pill for like narcolepsy or something.
I don't know, but it was crazy. And I remember the whole time that I had taken that pill and wasn't sleeping, I'd get this weird feeling in the back of my throat like I needed to swallow even though I didn't. And every time I've ever gotten insomnia in my life since then, I get that weird feeling in the back of my throat. So it did something. It permanently crossed a wire in my brain that wasn't like that before.
Well, did you have insomnia before that ever?
Yeah, I mean,
and you didn't have the throat thing?
No.
Oh, okay. Well.
Yeah, it was just something that happened after I took that pill. But I haven't had insomnia in a long time. I don't know if it'd be interesting to see if it would happen again now, so many years later.
Yeah. Well, speaking of insomnia, that's actually one of the very reasons that I need this medical weed. I have had horrible sleeping problems really my entire life. And I don't know why. I mean, even as a kid, my natural cycle was to stay up as late as possible and then sleep all day during the day.
That's super common for people with depression. That like they in their childhood had sleep disorders. I did too.
Really?
I was the only kid in my daycare who wasn't allowed to take a nap in the afternoon because I would then be up to like 1 a.m. And that's when I was like 3 years old. I was not making a decision about when I wanted to go to bed. I just already was having trouble sleeping.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. And due to the weirdness of my childhood, which we've talked about a little bit before, but sometimes I cut it out of the episodes because I don't need people knowing everything all at once. But I was pretty much left to do whatever I wanted as a kid. So
me too.
At like after like a very young age, there were no bedtimes. It was just stay up as late as you want.
Yeah.
Go to bed as late as in the summertime. Sleep in as late as you want.
I would say after about age 11 or so, that was it for me. I was pretty much unsupervised for a lot of the time.
So, and even if there was like a quote unquote rule of like, this is your bedtime, everyone knew that it wasn't being followed and nobody cared or did anything.
Right.
And anyone in my family listening to this knows that it's true. So that was like my natural just cycle anyway. And to this day, I have horrible sleeping problems. Like, I will legit lay in bed for just hours and hours. And not only that, but like when I do finally fall asleep, it's maybe for like an hour and a half before I wake up, and then I have to put myself back down again. And this will usually continue for about 2 weeks until one day I'll sleep for like 19 straight hours.
Yeah.
That's how this usually works. But smoking weed helps with that.
Yeah.
So that is among the many reasons that I need it. As well, the other thing that I told them was anxiety and depression and obsessive compulsive behaviors, which I'm doing it all the time. I'm always fucking around with my fingers. And it's not just that, but that's the one that anyone watching can see happening all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think about it. So I put down all these legitimate reasons and stuff, and I know that sometimes people get it just to get high, which I'm also cool with. I don't give a fuck about that. Yeah. But I feel like I'm doing it for the legitimate reasons, which is why I don't mind talking about it. But basically, I saw a doctor online that day. I mean, it was the next day that I went through with all this stuff. And actually what I did was I went to a random dispensary. I went to just a random dispensary and I told them, like, I know this is a dispensary, but I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, I don't even know how to get the card. And so they said, okay, they did exactly what I went there for. They said, okay, go to this website. They gave me a website where it was like a video conference with a doctor that took like not even 5 minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes. And then he says, okay, well, we're going to email you all the shit that you need to put on your application. So then you go to the whatever Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority website, the government website, and you put in the information that the doctor gave you. And that's where I'm at now, just waiting. So seeing as that the last episode was 2 weeks ago from today, it should be any fucking day now. I thought I would have it by now.
Maybe it'll be exactly on 2 weeks.
I think it might be, but I don't know if maybe like Thanksgiving or something slowed it down. I don't know.
Yeah.
But either that'll be good.
People need to get high to be around their families.
Oh, that's... I wasn't even... that was maybe like a week before Thanksgiving, so I wasn't even anticipating having it before then. But
well, that's what the liquor stores, they just are packed. Yikes. Right now.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's good. At least I'll have it by Christmas, I guess. I don't need it for that reason. I don't even know what that would be like. That would be a weird experience being high around my family.
Oh, yeah.
I don't believe I've ever done that before, and I don't intend to start now, but maybe now it would be cool. Like, it's okay, everyone. I've got the card.
Ever since my grandparents passed away on my mom's side of the family, that's happened a couple of times, and it's been really fun. That we got to be adults and make our own adult decisions about how we wanted to do Christmas.
I mean, there's people in my family that have drinks and stuff, and that's cool with me. So
yeah, that's
cool
the thing is like
smoking.
None of us really drink, so
there could be people in my family that smoke weed that I don't even know about. Closeted weed smokers. I doubt it. They're all a bunch of nerds.
Yeah.
But so not only that though, I went through all that shit. And I've actually been like looking at the prices and stuff online and shit, just like at the different dispensaries to try to wrap my head around what I'm looking at here. But that should be good. But I also made an appointment with a therapist, and you don't even know about that.
No.
Because I didn't tell you that. But that was a whole thing onto itself. It was that same day. I knocked both of these things out in the same day, I think. And I was really just Googling it. I didn't know where to fucking start.
Yeah.
And I think there's people in my family that like, a lot of people in my family have like worked in the medical field to different degrees and stuff. So I'm assuming that if I asked around, someone would probably know someone.
Yeah. That is true. The trouble that you're going to run into finding a therapist here is finding one who's not just going to tell you to pray about your problems.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
have you experienced that a lot?
It's not so extremely bad, but yeah. I mean, I've been through a lot of therapists, and I've only found 2 who didn't try to push the Christian religion on me, and even the ones.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, they are.
I think I have some.
It's very strange.
Optimistic news, though.
Very, very weird and frustrating to have a conversation with a person who is supposed to have a scientific mind, and they're telling you that basically they can't help you because you can't be happy or a moral person if you don't believe in their religion.
Well, that's insane. So that's interesting. Yeah. We'll see how that turns out.
And so I have some recommendations for you for sure. I know of at least 2 people who will not do that to you.
Okay, well, I've already made an appointment, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, maybe it'll work out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not, all the therapists here.
Well, the person that I made an appointment with, and I just Googled it, and I went down the list. And for one thing, it's like, right, hold on. Let me finish this thought about this. There's people in my family that probably know some people, but I didn't even want to get them involved. It seemed like something that I wanted to deal with on my own without getting other people involved. So anyone in my family listening who says that they had a recommendation, I should have went to them. For whatever reason, I just wanted to do the shit on my own. So I Googled it, and you can't even trust the ratings on these websites that are ratethefuckingdoctor.com or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's always 5 reviews, which is okay, that alone tells me nothing. And then the bad ones will just be this doctor doesn't know what she's talking about with no explanation that it's okay, well, can you tell me why? Or maybe you're just the asshole.
Right.
So you never even know with that shit. I was basically just going from website to website, just kind of sussing out the vibes. And I landed on a woman from the UK. So I don't know how this bodes for your religious thing here.
That'll be interesting.
I don't know how they are there, but it's not Oklahoma. So I don't know. Maybe that will help that. But also, and this isn't what I was looking for, but apparently this woman also owns a dispensary. So that she's on board with that shit. And that was another thing I was looking at in the reviews. Some people were saying such and such doctor just wanted to fucking throw pills at me and get me out the door, which was definitely not what I'm looking for.
No.
So,
well, if you get a psychiatrist, that's their job. Their job is not to give therapy. I think it upsets a lot of people because they don't realize the difference between a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and a therapist.
That was the first thing. Yeah. That was the first thing that I Googled to try to figure out even who I was supposed to be going to.
Yeah.
So I'm already on the right path there, I guess.
Yeah.
As far as I understand, I have the right kind of person. So that will be happening as of this recording in less than a week. So I don't know if that'll have already happened by the time this goes up or whatever, but I don't know. If it doesn't work out, I'll just go somewhere else. That was kind of my logic, was well, there's no harm in going to a person, and if I don't like it, I'll just go somewhere else. But she seemed cool. I mean, she had the best website, which to me means a lot, because
me too.
Having the good website is the baseline of what you should be doing, right? I think. So it's if you don't even have a good website or none of your links work or whatever, then it's I'm not going to trust you with my life when you can't even get your own shit together. Yeah, you're not going to help me out.
You're not even taking your business seriously enough to either hire someone to design your website or figure out how to make it look nice yourself.
Right. And the website looked nice, and it touched on so many things that related to me, as far as depression and anxiety and whatnot, and just various other. There was a whole blog post on there about people who crave attention, and that's probably the number one thing that I talk about on this show concerning my depression is I need the attention of strangers, and I don't fully know why, although I suspect it has something to do with my childhood. So that's interesting. If that's a topic that's important to her, it's important to me as well. Then it's okay, maybe we can vibe on that. But I don't know. Ultimately, it was more or less kind of a random pick. Not totally random, but we'll see what happens. If she tells me to fucking pray it away, then I'm fucking gone.
Yeah.
That was one of my big problems with AA when I did that shortly after I quit drinking.
That's a rough one.
That was the part that creeped me out. And it was otherwise pretty helpful. Like, there was actually, like, some helpful stuff to it. But when you get to the end where, like, everyone's holding hands and, like, praying, it's like, nope.
Well, and they tell you that you have to have a higher power.
You have to.
You have to.
It's required.
That's not okay. You can be self-reliant and you can learn to do better. You don't have to put it all off on your imaginary friend.
Ultimately, it can be taken as like pray to God, or sometimes they say like if you don't necessarily believe in God, then you ultimately giving yourself up to a higher power just means like accepting that you're not in full control, which I think is like a good thing. But then whenever you're like fucking praying together, it kind of undercuts that. Well,
it's a microcosm of my whole issue with religion, which is like there are probably other cognitive behavioral methods to correct all of this behavior, but why bother putting all the work into figuring that out when we can just tell you to pray about it? Like there's probably some other switch you can flip in your brain that does the same thing as, let go and let God, but does not have a spiritual basis or anything to do with religion. Like there's got to be a way to be able to think that way without actually believing that there's a higher power.
Of course there has to be, because there's too many atheists out there that are successful and happy and shit.
Right.
Obviously.
I think AA, like, it's good that these groups exist just so that people can find each other and find out that, like, hey, I'm not the only person who has this exact problem.
And that was the helpful thing, but go on.
But they do have like an 85-90% failure rate.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Which, how do you quantify failure? 1 relapse, 10 relapses? I don't know. But if you have something that has a 10 to 15% success rate, then it's probably not very good.
I didn't know it was that bad. You know a lot of facts about shit.
I grew up going to Al-Anon, Alateen, and stuff like that because of my dad. So I learned all about alcoholism when I was in, middle school and high school. Yeah.
Well, the helpful thing was like being around other people. That was when I could definitively say for sure to myself, like, I am definitely an alcoholic because I relate to all these people. It was like hive mind. Like everyone there was like on the same page about all this stuff, including me. So it was like, I am most definitely one of these people.
Yeah.
One thing that always sticks in my mind was one woman that said something about like, I used to always drive around with a box of wine in my car just to make sure that I had it. And I thought to myself, like, that's a great idea.
Oh, no.
And then I thought, oh, shit, this is part of the problem here.
Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, I used to go to a 12-step group called Adult Children of Alcoholics, which is a fantastic group. It's not just for adult children of alcoholics and addicts. It's for, the full title is Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families. So you don't have to have an alcoholic parent to get something out of these meetings or to be welcome to these meetings. They're really great. I'm not a super fan of the 12-step structure, all the God stuff, but
Al-Anon doesn't have that?
It does.
Okay.
But it's not. The people who are going to ACA meetings have a very specific damage, and it felt like those meetings, people were much more kind and gentle with one another, which is really what you need, right? Like after being abused for all your childhood. So it's really nice to go to those groups. And I mean, I guess you get a little bit of the like Sunday school vibe from it, but it's sweet and they're nice people and we deserve to be nice to each other and have somebody, be nice to us.
I don't even really mind even if they included the part about believe in God or whatever, the part where you're all praying together, now you're adding another layer to it, because it's like, well, what if you believe in a God that doesn't give a fuck about your prayers or that is unable to hear them? Then it's like, okay, the prayer part of it is like now, making it more than just giving yourself up.
I never thought about that. I've argued about this with people who are very much into AA, but I never thought like, Well, what if somebody came to the group and their higher power was an asshole? Then you have to tell them what kind of higher power they're allowed to believe in. So how fucked up are we going to get with this?
Yes. How fucked up are we going to get with this? Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, that part of it, I went to 2 meetings, and after the second meeting, I felt like I've gotten what I need to get out of this, and then I left, and I still feel like I did get what I got.
You can always buy the book.
The
big red book.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I looked through it while I was there. But no, the most helpful things in getting over my drinking has been playing video games and smoking weed. And now I can legally do both of those things.
Yay!
I could already legally play video games, but now with the weed, which nobody can argue is not as bad as drinking. I mean, someone might say like, well, now you're just replacing one vice with another. Well, it's like, okay, I'm replacing one with something that is way, way less harmful in every imaginable way. So
now I just want to play a video game that's illegal to play.
I'm sure they're out there. I would have to give it some thought.
What if I still want to be breaking the law somehow?
Illegal video game. That would be like the highest selling video game of all time.
Yeah, there was that one that was like too close to home about the school shooting or something that they were like, nah.
Yeah, I think there's been a few like that get like removed off Steam and shit, but still, I don't know if it's illegal to have them. That's a thinker. I don't know. I can imagine what an illegal video game would look like, but I don't even want to talk about what that would be.
I mean, I've pirated games, so I guess I've illegally played video games.
So, anyway, things are not necessarily going to get better, but maybe. I've also like really been getting into like, this might sound weird, but I've really been getting into like food science, like the shit that you need, because I have like a horrible diet, which I've actually like worked on a lot over the last few years, which is how I lost all the weight. But I've always been interested in like what your body and your brain need and
nutrition
stuff. Yeah, so looking at that kind of like has been kind of a interesting thing to dive into as well, that I think has been helpful.
Thinking about food as fuel kind of, it changes your ideas about what you're putting in your body. Yeah, and
with like dieting and stuff, I've hit the point many times where I'll go so long without bad food that I don't even want it. And then all it takes is like having it 2 or 3 times, and suddenly you're like, what was I thinking? This is the greatest shit on earth.
There's absolutely some addictive shit they're putting in there that we don't know about, or maybe it's just a combination of all the salt and the sugar and stuff, but I just don't believe it's that simple. There's got to be something in our Big Macs, because that shit is really disgusting. It tastes good for like 5 seconds, and then your stomach's like, why?
Part of the fact is like evolution from like caveman times, where like highly caloric food would like release dopamine and shit. So like we still have that in our DNA to be like, I'm going to eat this 800 calorie hamburger and feel awesome about it.
Yeah.
So part of it's just like the sheer number of calories and stuff. But I would have no doubt that there's some kind of like addictive additive in there. Why not? Why wouldn't they do that?
Yeah.
Morality? Fuck no. They don't care about that. So I'm sure there is something like that going on. But point is, as much of a fucking bummer as the last episode was, wheels are in motion to try to pull out of this shit. So we'll see what happens. I know that people listening are probably like wondering if I'm going insane or something, but it's like, no, I've been going insane. Now I'm like reversing it, trying to anyway. We'll see what happens. So
that's the spirit.
I mean, I think it is. I feel like you're being sarcastic, but it's a step up.
Yeah, no, you're definitely better than 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was fucked. I couldn't even like talk. I still have the recording that we were recording that I busted out of, where I was just like, I froze up and was like, I can't do this today.
Yeah.
I might put that on YouTube or something. I haven't gone back and watched it, but it was a weird feeling when it happened. I felt like I was just like trapped. But not this week, because I actually have some stories I want to talk about.
Hooray!
So let's get into some topics. Why don't we? First thing I've seen all over Facebook today. I never heard about this before today, so I don't know why it is just suddenly caught on, but commercial for something called a Peloton bike, a stationary bike. I don't know. The commercial does a bad job of explaining exactly what the product is.
Yeah.
But at its base level, it's a exercise bike, and I'm going to play this commercial and describe what's happening in it. Maybe I'll throw up some screenshots or something, but I don't really want to just like flat out play the whole video on here just for copyright reasons and shit. But we've already watched the video. You don't know why it's a hot topic.
No, I can guess.
Oh, I'm interested in hearing your guesses. I saw the commercial for the first time going into it, knowing what the controversy or whatever the fuck you want to call it is. Controversy is kind of thrown around a lot. Really, it's just like, here's what we're talking about today. So anyway, now I'm just going to play the commercial and describe to the listening audience what's happening in it. So you start with a woman coming down the stairs. Her eyes are closed. It's snowing outside. There's a Christmas tree, so we can suss out that it's Christmas time. Husband says, hey, I got you this bike, Peloton bike. And she's like, oh shit. And she's like, here's my first ride. She's like vlogging it. She's recording herself taking a ride on the Peloton bike. There's a little time-lapse montage here, and she's saying things like, oh, this is really helping
changing my life.
Yeah, changing my life and shit. And she's looking at the husband like, thanks. And he's like, I fucking killed it. And that's the end of the commercial. So what people are saying, and I've already, okay, well, what is your take on this, first of all? And I've kind of tipped it a little bit, but go on.
First of all, the whole bike with the TV on it reminds me of 1 million or 15 million credits or whatever the first episode second episode of Black Mirror.
Me want the Peloton
right.
bike.
Okay, so that, because at some point it seems like the whatever character is on the screen of the thing that she's watching while she's biking is like interacting with her.
I couldn't even tell what that shit was.
Right. She's like, yeah, she said my name. But anyway.
Yes, that was weird.
It's like a 5-year-old playing my first tablet. Like, I don't know, whatever. So my thoughts on what pissed people off about it is, let's imagine that the wife was not in such great shape.
Right.
Kind of changes the whole tone of the commercial. Like, here you go, sweetie. Time to get off that couch, throw away your bonbons, and try out this exercise bike.
Okay. Well.
And then she's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I needed to change my life. Thank you for being the man who enlightens me and shows me the error of my ways, and I'll go be a hot wife for you now.
This is an intriguing commentary because I disagree with the. I think what you're saying makes more sense than the criticism.
Really?
Because the criticism is that she isn't overweight. They're saying like it's not good to like put this what they deem to be a clearly in shape woman.
No, it would be so much worse if she wasn't. Because then it's like hubby's trying to fix me, and I am grateful for his help.
Oh, this seems more like the way that they're saying it. They seem to think it's like, here's a fit woman that still isn't fit enough for hubby.
Right.
So there's that part of it. But here, I don't agree with this because everyone's assertion is based on like, well, she's already in great shape. She doesn't need an exercise bike. But I reject the notion that you can tell how fit someone is just by looking at them.
Yeah.
So, okay, she's not overweight. She appears to be a healthy weight, but she still could be incredibly out of shape.
She could be skinny fat, as they say.
All the people criticizing it are saying like, she's clearly in great shape already, but it's like, you can't tell that by looking. Her heart could be shitty, the exact type of thing that a stationary bike is for. A stationary bike really isn't for weight loss. Like if you're overweight, you're probably not going to lose it by riding the Peloton bike.
It's like endurance training.
It's endurance. It's for building up your heart and your lungs and shit. And for all we know, she has a fucking shitty heart and lungs.
So what would have fixed the entire commercial for those people who are criticizing it is maybe if they put a very prominently displayed photo somewhere of her like competing in a marathon or something, so that we know as the audience to the commercial that this is something she's into, and that this is a top of the line bike for somebody who wants the best bike.
That makes sense. I think alternatively, you could also show a picture of her struggling to run a marathon.
Oh yeah,
and then saying like
that way, it's like it's not just like a here, honey, it's like something that she has maybe hinted, or there's a reason that he would give her that gift.
But can't we assume that anyway, based on, we've only known these people for the 30 seconds of this commercial.
But that's why you have to be good at making commercials.
Okay.
Because you only have 30 seconds.
All right. I'm on board with these tweaks.
Yeah.
Because I think it's kind of unfair to assume that like this is some kind of abusive relationship between husband and wife here. My assumption upon him giving her the bike was like, okay, I assume in the backstory that we're not getting here, he knew that this is a gift that she wanted.
Right.
And he wasn't just being like, lose some weight, you fat cow, even though you're clearly already skinny.
Yeah.
Which is the way that some people appear to be taking it. But my big issue with the criticism was people it's this whole, it's part of the bigger stigma on health and fitness in the first place, where the idea of exercise equipment is a bad thing to give to someone. It really shouldn't be, though.
Yeah.
Like at any fitness level, like saying, here's some exercise equipment. Why? Because it sends the message of like, you're fat and gross and out of shape and ugly. Not necessarily. I mean, nobody's in perfect shape. How do you look at The Rock?
Yeah.
Give him a fucking exercise bike for Christmas and he'll probably love it.
Well, if you have never mentioned to that person that you ever work out or do anything like that, then it is kind of weird. But if we're assuming that these, it's a married couple that lives together, then that's fine. But yeah, if like if my boyfriend, apropos of nothing, just gave me an exercise thing, I'd be like, what are you trying to say? I've never in our entire relationship hinted that I need help working out.
I would agree with that, but the presupposition of this 30-second commercial is that somewhere along the line, he got the impression that this is a gift that she wanted, and clearly he was right because she enjoyed it.
Right.
Now, there's a whole gender part of this. Does anything change if you switch the genders? She gives the bike to him. Does the commercial become less offensive, more offensive, or the same?
Unfortunately, due to, and this is me too, the idea that men like to work out and get buff, it seems there's less implied by giving it to the husband than the other way around.
Like, it seems like most commercials for exercise, anything involving health and fitness, are geared towards women, and the commercials geared towards men are generally about like eating as much as you possibly can and stuff like that, or like TVs and shit. It's never like anything promoting fitness.
I know this is a long time ago, but all that's popping into my head is the old Bowflex commercials where it's like the black background and this extremely fucking ripped dude,
which is
just
such
like
horse shit. And I've never understood like any commercial for a new piece of technology, and then you show like an extremely buff person and they act like that they got that way by using this thing that was just invented.
That thing.
It's like, okay, obviously you were super buff before this thing came out. So yeah, the whole health and fitness industry is fucked. But I feel like we've arrived at some potential improvements here. I like this notion of like somehow showing her level of fitness better than they did. So
yeah, her level of interest in receiving such a gift, or some kind of story building that would make it not offensive for her husband to buy her an exercise thing.
I'm not so sure that I'm not completely convinced it's offensive the way it is. However, I do think I believe that it could have been improved upon. So
it's also like she's not offended, and she's the one whose opinion matters because she's the wife and she's the one receiving the gift. So it kind of doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. They're getting offended on behalf of this fictional person.
So
So what are we mad about? The commercials are setting an example that we don't like?
The implication, this is why I disagree with the criticism, because the criticism appears to be that even thin people need to work out. But it's true.
Yeah.
They do need to.
Yeah, there was a whole thing, like I was saying, skinny fat. That's like a thing now where you have heart disease and shit because you have always had a naturally high metabolism, so you stay thin, but you're in terrible shape because you never did any endurance exercise, anything that kept your heart rate up, or you just ate cheeseburgers so you can get away with it.
Totally.
So
absolutely. Some of the unhealthiest people out there look exactly like the woman in the commercial, but I've kind of turned my opinion around on this, because when we went into it, I was saying like the commercial's fine the way it is, but now I do agree that something more should have been done to show like why she is getting this gift. Mm-hmm. Show her running the marathon either successfully or unsuccessfully, whichever narrative you want to go with. Then I think they've got something there. But I think it's more effective to show her like struggling, because then it's like, okay, well now we're seeing the improvement. Yeah. Otherwise, we're just watching a woman that was already. We're watching what people are interpreting the commercial as it already is, which is, a fit woman's journey into more fitness, which is not very compelling. So anyway, I'm glad we, talked about that. All right. This story comes from Huffington Post, HuffPo, and the headline says, "I'm 63, she's 22. Here's what most people get wrong about her marriage." Now, I did not read this article at all. It's pretty fucking long. I tried to skim through it to look through this man's rationalization that marrying a 22-year-old wasn't weird, but I don't need to read it. I feel like just the headline, "I'm 63, she's 22. Here's what most people get wrong about our marriage," and then a picture of his old ass and her young ass. That was enough. I looked at that and said, both of you are severely mentally ill. Both of you. You both need to take a good look in the mirror and sort out your shit. He should not be relating to a 22-year-old.
No.
Unless this article is one sentence long and it says, "I wanted to fuck a 22-year-old." Whatever his rationalization is for connecting with her on an intimate, emotional, and mental level, which I'm sure is what it is. He shouldn't be. A 63-year-old should not. If you're relating to a 22-year-old, even the most mature 22-year-old on the planet, something is wrong with you.
I agree. Okay. However, all right, if it doesn't hurt anybody, they're consenting adults, they can get as fucked up as they want. That's fine.
Okay.
Now, if it's like, she has manipulated him into willing her his entire inheritance and leaving his children nothing or something, one of those situations, which happens.
There's a lot of mystery here since I refuse to read this article. But we're just speaking in the general sense anyway. Like, it doesn't have to be specifically these two. I'm just talking in general relationships.
If that's the thing that's happening, then obviously I'm not for that. But if 60-year-olds and 20-year-olds want to marry each other, fuck it, who cares?
I mean, I'm down with the fuck it, who cares? But I mean,
here's what most people get wrong about our marriage. Probably every fucking thing, because nobody does that, and that's fine. We don't need you to explain it.
I don't care in that. I don't care in terms of like, I don't think they should be together.
Yeah.
Although I don't think they should be together, but my whole thing is like, I feel like if they're in it and they're both looking at it like, this is fucking crazy what we're doing, but who cares? I mean, then I guess that at least shows some awareness, but considering that he wrote a whole fucking article on HuffPo about it, I'm guessing it's not like, I'm a maniac.
Yeah.
Here's what most people get wrong. Well, I'm insane, and so is she, and we're having a great time, so fuck you. That would be an article I could get on board with. I'm doubting that's what it is.
I feel the same way. I feel... also, she is...
I would love that.
She is not going to be a fully formed human for another 3 years. So
okay, what's the science on this? I don't know how you know all these facts about everything, but let's hear it.
Because I remember all the useless stuff.
That's not useless. That's like important stuff. I remember the useless stuff.
When you are 25 is when your brain has resolved all growth.
What's his excuse?
I don't know.
Like a fucking creep.
We
know what it is. She's pretty. Yeah. Look at the picture.
We'll have to see if they're still married 3 years from now. When
he's a fucking creep and a half, is what he is. I'm gonna just skip to. Let's skip to the captions that HuffPo has put in bold here. I assume those are the important ones. It says, my friends and hers as well question the sanity of our choice to commit to each other. My children, educated liberal intellectuals, did not know how to process the fact that they were both at least 6 years older than their father's new bride.
That's rough.
Try listening to them. He says, in my previous relationships, my significant others made me love them. Alex has taught me to love myself, and for that, I love her even more. You're so fucking full of it. And what happened to her that she's into 63-year-old dudes? Something horrible.
Her dad left.
For sure.
Yeah.
He left, if we're lucky, not before doing something horrible to her. As far as the effects of that go, that's like, I always feel like I need to like think about like, every time I look at a story, I have to like gender swap it to make sure I'm not being sexist. So I would no doubt say the exact same thing about a 22-year-old boy and a 63-year-old woman. I'd say, what happened to your mom?
Yeah.
What is going on here? So I don't know. Something, and what happened to him? On top of the fact that she's young and pretty, it's easy to be like, oh, of course that's what he's into. But there's more going on than that. Something is fucked up with this guy.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna like demand that they get a divorce or anything. But I wish that they had the self-awareness to be like, we know what we're doing is insane and toxic, but fuck it, because I'm 63 and I'm going to die in 10 years and then she can do whatever she wants. Yeah. So who cares? But I doubt that's his position.
Him wanting to marry her isn't as unusual. I think most 63-year-old men would marry a 22-year-old.
Oh, maybe not.
They would have them.
If that is the norm, then 63-year-old men are just fucking crazy and stupid. Well, yeah, because that's crazy and stupid.
The reason that you
norm or not, it's crazy and stupid.
The reason that you don't see it is because most 22-year-old women would shut it down. They'd be like, "No, I'm not interested in that."
Here's another thing. If it is a situation, and I don't think that this is, but in the situations where it is like a rich old man, and I'm guessing by this screenshot here that he is not rich. In the situation where the older person is rich and the younger person is using the old rich person for their money, as long as everybody understands the deal, I'm down with that too. Yeah. Like fucking our fucking president, for fuck's sakes. There's no way that his marriage was ever about love.
Yeah.
But they clearly both knew the deal.
Yeah, it's all above board.
You're hot and exotic. You're rich and powerful. Fuck it. I'm down with that too.
Yeah, that's consensual as long as no one's being manipulated.
No,
that's fine.
And like, well, you look at like Donald Trump and Melania Trump, it's like there's no question that there's no confusion about what this ever was.
None at all.
Of course. So like a situation like that, I'm into. But here we're dealing with mental illness, I would say, either
it's not
genetic
necessarily
or
true though. I'm thinking about, I've known people who have been in relationships with huge age gaps. And I don't think of them as mentally ill. Like, I don't think of that.
How huge are we talking here?
This big, almost. 30 years. So, I would...
30 years?
Yes, and I would say
are these people that are available to be on this show so I can respectfully ask them what's going on?
Maybe. I would say, just from knowing them, it's more of an attraction to... like they found a person from the generation that they like, someone who grew up in the 70s or something, somebody who like knows all of the old nostalgic stuff that they're into from before a time they were even probably alive. But I like, there's an appreciation for the wisdom that someone like that can have.
What's his excuse?
But
as a 34-year-old man, I can barely stand to talk to a 22-year-old. Fuck out of here. She doesn't even.
Oh, but I was looking at the article a little bit while you're talking.
Okay.
She's like in Mensa. She graduated early.
That doesn't mean she's not out of her mind.
She's got a
even the smartest people on
degree.
earth can be crazy.
Well, what I'm saying is why would he be interested in her? She can probably carry on a much more intelligent conversation than the average 22-year-old.
Doesn't matter. She's not. There's no IQ high enough that makes you emotionally on that level. I don't believe.
No, but
I would have to talk to him.
I understand it. It's like it's been hard for me to find people my own age that I could relate to very well until I was like in my late 20s, mid 20s.
Yeah, okay. That's what she's 22.
Yeah.
So she's of that age where like she should start finding people her own age to connect with.
Yeah.
And I need to be like respectful to the term mental illness. Is mental illness like something that you can acquire, or is that like something that you're born with?
Both.
Okay, both. So he has some kind of illness happening here, whether genetically disposed or something that happened to him through trauma or whatever.
Horny old man syndrome.
There's more to it than that.
Not on his end. His end seems normal to me.
No, it's not. It's not possible. I guarantee if you had dinner with this man, he would be the craziest fucker you ever met.
But I meet creepy old men all the time. The only difference between them and that guy is nobody has said yes to them yet.
Again, here we come back to like, okay, normal, yes, in the sense that maybe most 63-year-old guys would be into it, which I don't even know if I agree with that premise, but let's say that it is. That's different from, there's normal and then there's like healthy. So it's like, just because it's normal doesn't mean it's like good.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's good. I think it's part of toxic masculinity and misogyny and stuff like that. They see someone, the whole youth worship, this, putting youth on a pedestal, thinking that that's, the end all be all of success for a man is to have a hot young wife.
Yeah, like even recently Keanu Reeves has been like heralded as like the world's greatest man because
for dating someone his own age.
Dating a woman that's 10 years younger than him.
God.
Which, I mean, still though, that's age appropriate. He's probably like in his 50s.
Yeah.
So like 50, 40, that's fine. Even like Hollywood or whatever, that's fine. Even in the real world. So, but she has like full blown graying hair and stuff. She looks good though for like whatever. So, but the fact that everyone's like calling him like America's greatest hero for doing something that shouldn't be that weird is like pretty telling. So I do agree with that. But there is a version of this that exists with the young man and the older woman, and it's the same thing. Maybe it's not toxic masculinity in that case, but it's something not good. But as far as these two fucking kooky kids go, fucking 63-year-old and 22-year-old, like you said, they'll need to like catch up. How long have they been married? Let's see if it said this. Well, he got divorced from his ex-wife at 60. Oh no. Did this like just happen?
Yeah, it looks like they met when she was 20, so 2 years ago. So they must have just gotten married.
He started it. Maybe we should read this a little bit.
Oh, a little more than a year later, having never left the Dominican Republic, she married me.
It says, though Alex was only 20 and lived in the U.S., I sent her a message. Why? Because she's hot. At that point, there definitely is not like a connection there.
No.
There's no connection. But you messaged her because you're fucking wanted to fuck and beat off on the internet.
That's how everyone starts dating.
Okay, well, perhaps. Okay. But as long as no one's getting hurt, more power to him, that whole thing, except someone is getting hurt. She is, I believe. I believe that she is like, this is compounding whatever trauma it is that got her in this situation in the first place.
Maybe she's going to work it out. Maybe this is how she's going to work it out.
I think this is why, like you said, we need to come back and see if they're still married later because, like, I feel like, hopefully, God willing, she will figure out somehow that this is not a good situation for her.
You know,
no, here's the other fucking thing. She gets too old. She gets 30 years old, and suddenly Mr. 73-year-old doesn't want her
wants
anymore.
A new 20-year-old.
Yeah.
If he does that, he is a fucking...
Those are the two directions I see this going.
He is a human dumpster fire if he does that.
Her wising up and getting out of the situation, or him deciding that she's too old and gross for him. Anyway. Shit. I have more topics that I would like to talk about. Okay, this comes from Vulture, and it says Justin Timberlake is very sorry, but insists he wasn't stepping out on his wife. Basically, Justin Timberlake is off shooting a movie somewhere, and pictures were taken of him holding hands with one of his co-stars, and he's like a married man.
Yep.
So people were talking like, what the fuck is all this? And so he put out a statement that says, I stay away from gossip as much as I can, but for my family, I feel it's important to address recent rumors that are hurting the people I love. A few weeks ago, I displayed a strong lapse in judgment, but let me be clear, nothing happened between me and my co-star. Full stop right now. What's the lapse in judgment if nothing happened?
What are you apologizing
for? I hate
for?
this game of like, I'm apologizing, but also I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
We see that a lot now, especially like in the Me Too era with men being like, I'm sorry for this thing that, and that's if they even admit remembering it. Frankly, I'm surprised she didn't go. There's photographic evidence, so you couldn't really say. I guarantee if there was no photo and this was purely anecdotal, it would just be deny.
Yeah.
But anyway, he goes on to say, I drank way too much that night and I regret my behavior. Well, again, what's to regret if nothing happened?
Yeah.
He says, I should have known better. This is not the example I want to set for my son. I apologize to my amazing wife and family for putting them through such an embarrassing situation. And I'm focused on being the best husband and father I can be. This was not that. And then he promotes the fucking movie he's making, for God's sakes. Okay, so anyway, basically all I really had to say about this is that Justin Timberlake is a fucking creep, apparently.
I wonder if he even, like, did he do that to promote the movie?
Ooh, there you go. See, that would actually make it less creepy.
I'm starting to question things like that it's just too convenient that something scandalous happened. Well, he is only holding hands with her.
It's still...
that's an easy thing that he could do, not actually cheat on his wife or do anything. Like I could see her being like, okay, but all you can do is hold her hand.
That was gonna be my first question, was like, in this scenario, would his wife be in on it?
Yeah.
If so, then it's like, okay, but I don't know, only because I think this is worse PR for him. This hurts the movie, I think, more than promotes it.
Yeah, maybe.
So let's presume that this really happened. If he's drinking so much that he's having some kind of intimate physical contact with a woman, which includes holding hands, then number one, he has a drinking problem. Number two, this is just immediate divorce in my eyes.
What's he doing when there's not a camera there? What's he doing when they're not out at a bar? Yeah.
And even if it's nothing, this is enough. This is all the evidence you need.
Well, that was the absolute intention to do something, it seems like. He's carrying on an emotional affair or something.
And again, anytime there's like a story about like relationships, I need to like gender swap it and see if that changes my opinion, and it doesn't. If one of the people in the relationship is doing that kind of shit, instant divorce. And they've been married for like years now. I don't care. And they have kids. Fuck it. The relationship is not real if he even feels a need to do that kind of stuff. I have a very low threshold for that kind of shit.
I do too. It's between them. If they want to try to work it out, fine. But for me, that'd be pretty much it.
If they want to work it out, more power to them. But it's just an indicator of things to come, I think. If it's me in that situation, I'm saying, okay, well, this relationship's done then.
Yeah.
Or it was obviously already done, or you wouldn't feel the need to be doing that shit.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, fuck him, but I don't care. It's Hollywood. Everyone's a fucking asshole, I guess. Even America's favorite son, Justin Timberlake. So, I guess that's about it then. So, I mean, there's more we could have talked about So
yeah.
compare that to the previous episode where it was like a struggle to even get through the news because I was just like not feeling it. Whereas now I'm overloaded with topics. But
man, I was so angry about George Zimmerman today, but I don't know. I
can't even fucking talk about that shit. My whole zone is Justin Timberlake cheating on his wife. That's my area of expertise. Right. You can talk about whatever you want, but if we start getting into shit like that, I'm probably going to not say a whole hell of a lot. But you're always welcome to talk about whatever you want. So go to all the websites and shit. Slowplayonline.com has some stuff sometimes. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all Slow Play Online. So how you going to fuck that up? And I guess that's it.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.